the information you need to know and inform you why you need to know it.
Welcome to End the Illusion. Today you will learn how to make $1 million. It is very easy and is being done regularly by people across the country, and we will walk you through the process. So on this computer, I am now submitting information to the Federal Reserve to obtain a $100 million loan from the Federal Reserve's discount window. Now for the remainder of this video, I will refer to the Federal Reserve as the Fed. Let's pretend that I am now the Fed. After reviewing my information, the Fed will enter some information onto their computer that will deposit this money into my account. Now, isn't this wondrous how the money is created so easily out of thin air, and the Fed has no reason to even have to print the money? It is merely an entry on a computer ledger. Now, I return to my computer and access my account online, and voila, I have $100 million that has been deposited to my account. Now here's the beauty of this. I borrowed this money between 0 and 0.25% interest. I then take this $100 million and purchase U.S. Treasuries, which are paying approximately 3.5% at this time. U.S. Treasuries are considered a very safe investment as they come with the backing of the full faith and credit of the United States government. So let's review what has happened here so far. I have borrowed $100 million from the Fed at 0 or close to 0% interest. I have then turned around and used the same money to purchase treasuries from the U.S. Treasury Department at approximately 3.5%. Now let's analyze what my return for the year will be. If we take the spread, or the difference between the two rates, and subtract 0.25 from 3.5, we'll come up with 3.25%. 3.25% of 100 million is $3.25 million. Not bad for a few hours of work, don't you think? Now on top of this, the interest income is exempt from state and local income taxes and is totally risk-free money since, again, it is guaranteed by the U.S. Treasury.
Hey, but I can't do that.
Well, you are right. You need to be a bank holding company that holds deposits to take advantage of this. In fact, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, American Express, and others successfully converted themselves to bank holding companies in order to gain access to this wonderful source of free funding. So unfortunately, folks, this hot corporate welfare deal is not available to people like you and me. You will need to work for a living. So I mentioned earlier that people across the country were making millions doing this. So if only banks can access this money, how's this possible? Well, let's say I'm an executive at one of these big banks, and I just made them $3.25 million at virtually no cost to the bank. Well, I certainly do deserve $1 million bonus, don't I? So you think this is a fantasy? Then why did New York Attorney General Andrew Cuomo question Goldman Sachs' decision to pay 1,556 employees bonuses of at least $1 million after it had received TARP funds in 2008? Citicorp gave their employees so much in bonuses in 2009 that it was more than the company made in profits for the year, so it lost money that year. Citicorp is actually paying its employees $1.45 for every dollar the company took in last year. Now let's look at some of these other companies. Bank of America is spending 88 cents of every dollar it made in 2009 to compensate its workers. At Morgan Stanley, it's 94 cents. At JP Morgan Chase, 63 cents. Now, these are not the only offenders, but they are certainly some of the more egregious ones. So, why do you need to know this information? It is because you, the taxpayer, are paying for this because the interest charges on these treasuries are paid by the taxpayer. These charges just keep adding to our national debt. Also, if you are an investor in one of these or other such banks? Well, the bonuses and compensation packages come out of the profits that would have been shared by all the shareholders. So as a shareholder, you come out at the bottom. So next time some politician or corporate type tells you that the people that are running these banks are geniuses and need good compensation for companies to be able to attract them, remember that they really are not geniuses, but rather they are insiders. And if these geniuses were so smart, how come so many of them did not see the coming of the economic collapse that we are now experiencing? So there you have it. You now know how at least some people who are insiders can make $1 million, and you now know how they can do it. In our next segment, you will learn how banks actually create money out of thin air. Yes, this is not an exaggeration. If you or I did this, we would be arrested for counterfeiting. But the banks can do it legally. Stay tuned.